Picture this. You're a 13-year-old boy, a palace concubine, stretched out on a silk mattress in a chamber, lit only by the soft flicker of an oil lamp. The scent of rosewater clings to your skin from the bath you were ordered to take an hour ago. The palace is quiet, not the gentle stillness of a household asleep, but a tense, heavy silence, like the air before thunder. Then you hear it, heavy boots on stone. Not the light tread of servants, but the slow, measured march of the palace guard. They're coming for you. In this palace, a summons at this hour almost always means the same thing. Your body will be used in ways that leave you pleading for death. And when you beg for that release, they will withhold even that. By sunrise, you could be shackled in an underground chamber, your voice tearing itself to pieces against walls built to swallow sound, while men take turns destroying the very parts of you that had once brought pleasure and favor. And that was considered the merciful path. What I'm about to describe happened to real boys in the Ottoman Empire. Their names have been lost, but fragments of their suffering survived in the reports of foreign envoys who saw and heard more than they were supposed to. One Venetian ambassador recorded hearing howls rise from beneath the palace for 3 days without pause. He never learned whose throat produced those sounds, only that the boy had been a favorite of the sultan shortly before. Hours ago you felt secure. You were one of the chosen ones, a pretty youth wrapped in brocades, fed sweetmeats from distant provinces, taught how to delight the most powerful man in your world. Your softness, your beauty, your obedient trembling, these were your armor. Now those same traits have turned into a curse. The guards step into your chamber without ceremony. They do not explain, they do not meet your eyes. One merely jerks his chin toward the door. Stand. Come. You follow, bare feet whispering over carpets, down hallways you know, and then into corridors you've never been permitted to enter. Past locked doors, past stairways that always seem to lead nowhere, deeper toward the unseen core of the palace, where the sounds never rise back up to the sultan's gilded rooms. Before you reach whatever awaits, they need to see how far you've already fallen. The test happens more abruptly than you anticipate. Halfway down a narrowing corridor, the men halt. One guard pulls a small knife and presses its edge to your throat, not hard enough to cut, but close enough that you can feel the steel pulse with your heartbeat. He watches your eyes. Do you struggle? Do you sob and beg? Do you go limp and silent? Your reaction decides which door opens for you and which methods will be used there. Even the passageway you're in tells a story if you know how to read it. The walls are padded with thick silk to swallow cries. Layers of carpeting mute footsteps and hide whatever stains mark the floor beneath. At regular intervals, heavily built eunuchs stand guard, impassive, ensuring that anyone escorted into this wing never walks back out to gossip. Between these checkpoints, small, discreet plaques hang on the walls, each etched with symbols marking the function of nearby rooms. Whips, masks, chains, flames. A language of pain coded in ornament. At last, the party stops at a reinforced wooden door banded with iron. One guard draws out a key heavier and stranger than any you've seen in the palace. Its metal is discolored, its teeth oddly shaped. The turning of the lock echoes louder than the footsteps ever did. The door swings open. You brace yourself for darkness and chains, but find instead a compact, richly furnished room. There is a single bed with carved posts, cushions piled in soft heaps, silk curtains, a window with bars hidden by delicate latticework. This is not the dungeon, this is the cage. On the surface it looks like a refuge. In reality, it is a holding cell designed to soften and unmake you before the next stage. The door slams behind you, the vibration running through the floor and up into your bones. No guard remains inside. There are no visible restraints, just you, the fine furnishings, and a silence that amplifies every breath you take. But the room betrays its history in small, stubborn details. There are dark stains on the cushions that no amount of scrubbing has fully erased. The wooden frame of the bed bears deep gouges at the head and foot, marks made by fingernails clawing for purchase. In the ornate carpet, faint round scorch marks reveal where braziers or brands once fell or were deliberately placed. This is not wear and tear, it is a gallery, each scar left visible so that anyone brought here can see exactly what happens to boys who fail to please. The window is positioned with cruel calculation. Through it, you can look down into the Sultan's private gardens. There, in the soft light of morning, new favorites stroll beneath fruit trees, laughing, their hair glossy, their robes shimmering, the life you had and have abruptly lost. Beyond the hedges, just barely visible, lie small plots of earth and simple stones, the palace cemetery. Most of the graves are unmarked. The window is not for sunlight, it is for comparison. The real torment doesn't begin with whips or knives, it begins with what looks like compassion. On your second day in that room, a servant enters with a letter. The seal bears the Sultan's personal insignia. The handwriting mimics his style. The message tells you that he regrets what has happened, that a misunderstanding led to your removal, that he longs to see you again. You are told that your punishment is over. Hope rises so fast it makes you dizzy. You imagine being led back upstairs, reclaiming your place. Then your mind starts catching small wrong notes. The ink is still too sharp-smelling, as if written moments ago, not dispatched from the ruler's own hand. The paper feels different from what you've handled before. The seal, upon closer look, has a tiny irregularity. This is not reprieve. It is the first instrument in a well-rehearsed symphony of psychological torment. Over generations, palace interrogators perfected this false letter tactic. They discovered that a boy who can still be made to believe in salvation fractures faster and more thoroughly than one who has fully accepted his fate. In their hands, hope becomes a tool as effective as any physical device. Time blurs. No music reaches you now. The sounds of court life, laughter, instruments, the murmur of conversation, no longer drift under your door. Instead, there is only your own pacing, the scrape of your feet over the carpet, the rattle of trays slid in and out. Those meals change too. No more delicacies, no more sweet fruits and rich meats that kept your body attractive. Now, bowls of plain rice, a bit of stale bread, thin water. Enough to keep you alive, not enough to keep you strong. Weak muscles make flight impossible, but that's only part of the reason. Hunger and exhaustion cloud thought, erode will, and narrow your world to one question: what must I do to make this stop? At a certain point, survival begins to outweigh every other consideration, including dignity, including the last traces of self-respect. For boys who cling to defiance, other mechanisms exist. In some versions of this room, segments of the carpet are cleverly rigged. Stand in the wrong place at the wrong moment, and the floor drops beneath you, depositing you into a cramped chamber below. The fall is short and calculated not to break bones. Its purpose is to show you that nothing, not even solid ground, is safe. For the most stubborn, the palace deploys a more devastating weapon: family. Your parents, siblings, maybe a childhood friend are tracked down. They're summoned with lies, told that you are gravely ill and begging to see them. When they arrive at the palace gate, they are brought not to your side but to a viewing chamber. There, through a thick window, they can see you, hear you, watch you pound on the glass. But they cannot reach you. You see their confusion twist into horror. They see what has been made of you, whatever resolve why. Still have begins to splinter, under the knowledge that every act of resistance from this point forward will be paid for not just in your own flesh, but in theirs. When the guards return at last, they bring two things: coils of silk rope and a small carved box. The rope you recognize, it's the kind used in stranglings when a quiet execution is required. But they do not intend to kill you with it. Not yet. The box is worse. Inside are fragments of your previous existence, a trinket you thought long vanished, a letter you once wrote and hid, a scrap of fabric from home, Perhaps even a lock of your hair taken while you slept upstairs months ago. Someone has been watching you far longer and more closely than you realized. These keepsakes are not returned out of kindness. They are props for the next act. Each will be used to stir a memory and then twist it, turning precious recollections into new sources of torment. An earring you cherished will be hung from another boy as he cries. Your letter will be read aloud in mocking tones. The lock of hair will be tossed on coals while they describe how easily they can burn every attachment you ever had. The silk cords serve a precise function as well. Palace torturers specialized in binding limbs in such a way that even the smallest movement sent waves of agony through the body, without tearing skin or leaving permanent damage. The lesson is simple. Pain ends only when you stop resisting. Relief comes only from compliance. Only after this mental groundwork has been laid do they escort you farther down, into the true depths. The air grows cooler, damper. A thick, sour scent rises. Sweat, old blood, human waste, fear. It clings to the stone. It never fully dissipates. These subterranean rooms were not improvised. They were planned. Each chamber has its own role, and victims are moved through them in a deliberate order refined through long experience. The first room strips you of all external markers. Clothes are cut from your body. Your hair, once perfumed and carefully arranged for the Sultan's gaze, is hacked off in uneven, humiliating patterns. Any ornament that suggested you were special is removed and discarded or burned in front of you. You are scrubbed, handled, posed like an object. The second room is where they show you the cost of failing to bend. Sometimes the previous occupant's body has been left lying there deliberately long enough that nothing has yet been cleaned away. You see bruises, burns, contusions, eyes frozen wide. You smell what remains after hours of screaming. It is no accident that you are brought here at this particular moment. The timing is chosen so that the last boy's end becomes the first image in your own remaking. The message could not be clearer. There is a path that leads here, and another that might not. The third chamber is worse. In many cases, the former victim is not entirely dead. Chained or strapped, he may still be breathing, whimpering, trying to form words of warning or prayer. On others, you encounter boys in different stages of unmaking, one staring blankly, another smiling with tears streaming down his cheeks, a third thanking his tormentors in a flat monotone. These are living demonstrations, proof that a human mind can be shattered and reshaped without destroying the body that houses it. Inside the palace, this entire process has a name: remaking. It doesn't mean killing and replacing. It means erasing the person you were, piece by piece, while keeping the shell alive and functional. Then building, on that empty framework, a new construct suited to whatever purpose the Sultan has in mind. The first step in this remaking is a choice designed so that you cannot emerge from it innocent. They bring in another boy, frightened, uncomprehending, perhaps newly arrived from some border town. You've never seen him before. You're told that one of you will suffer now and one will watch. You must decide who. Choose yourself, and they will torture you while forcing you to see the terror and relief in his eyes, building a scaffold of guilt they can later exploit. Choose him, and you become complicit in his suffering, providing fertile ground for eventual self-loathing. Boys beg, bargain, try to find a loophole. They offer to take both sets of punishment, to trade away assets they do not have, to swear impossible oaths. It never works. There is no safe third route. That is the point. Once that first choice is made, you have taken your initial step away from being purely a victim and toward occupying the dual role of victim and participant. The next stage is marking. Your body becomes a document. Ink and blade are applied with deliberation. Certain symbols tattooed into the skin communicate your new designation to those who know how to read them. One mark might tell future handlers that you have proven capable of extracting secrets from powerful men. Another might indicate you excel at seduction. A tiny dot behind the ear might be a signal that you are fully broken and can be entrusted with the darkest assignment. Tease. Scars are similarly codified. A thin, straight line across the chest records a serious act of defiance and the punishment that followed. Curved scars on forearms announce past escape attempts. Marks on the face have their own language. Sometimes they are intentionally disfiguring, used to diminish beauty that was judged too distracting, or to mark a boy who needed to be taught humility. But the real work during these marking sessions is internal. As needles bite or blades score, you are forced to chant set phrases over and over. I am nothing without my master. My value lies only in my use. I deserve whatever is done to me. The pain sharpens your focus until the words sink deeper than simple repetition. At certain moments, the handlers deliberately blur the lines between agony and the remnants of the training you received as a concubine. They have long known that if a boy's body is made to respond with involuntary arousal, while he is simultaneously degraded and hurt, the fusion of those sensations forges especially durable chains. Your nerves learn to misfire, linking relief to surrender, pleasure to humiliation. By the time the session ends, your skin is altered, your mind is too. If you're still here with us at Curious Historians, and you're ready to keep going into even darker territory, now is the moment to tap that like button and subscribe. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It's sobering to think that from so many places in the modern world we're tracing the outlines of cruelties that played out centuries ago behind palace walls. What follows makes everything prior look almost gentle by comparison. The next phase is called training, but it is not the kind you received when you first arrived as a favorite. Then you were taught music, manners, how to pour wine and stroke egos. Now you are taught how to break and how to help break others. Phase 1 is about instilling complete helplessness. Through staged failures and rigged situations, you're led to the conviction that nothing you do can change outcomes. Resist? The result is worse. Comply? Pain comes anyway, just with a different flavor. Slowly, your mind gives up on the idea that your choices matter. Phase 2 focuses on conditioning. Certain words, gestures, or tones of voice become triggers. At a command, your body kneels, flinches, performs without conscious thought. The aim is to turn you into something that can be reliably used under stress, like a tool that always fits the same lock. Phase 3 targets your capacity to bond. Attachments to specific people, especially to other victims, are carefully created and then abruptly severed. Someone is kind to you for days, then is made to hurt you. You're encouraged to trust a handler, then punished for it. Eventually, you stop believing in your own instinct to trust or care. The final phase is the most perverse. They teach you to be grateful. Through cycles of torment and calculated mercy, they manipulate your emotional responses. A man torments you for hours. Then, when you are sobbing and shaking, he unties your wrists and gives you a sip of sweetened water, perhaps even strokes your hair and speaks softly. Relief floods you. Your brain, desperate to find patterns, starts to file this man, and by extension your abusers under safety, because the only moments of reprieve you experience come from them. Over time, this warped gratitude thickens into what looks from the outside like devotion. You begin to crave the approval of the very people who hurt you, not because you have forgotten, but because your world has been compressed so small that their brief kindness is the only light in it. While this dismantling continues underground, a different kind of erasure happens above. Your old room is cleared, reassigned. Your clothes are redistributed. Your name is scratched out of rolls and quietly banned from conversation. Servants who slip and mention you are punished until they learn not to. To the palace at large, it as if you never existed. Beyond the palace, the ripple spreads. Guards begin to monitor your relatives. They are questioned, relocated, or subtly harassed. Letters they send toward the capital vanish. Neighbors start to shy away. Over time, your family's ability to ask uncomfortable questions or spread rumors diminishes. Perhaps the cruelest twist comes with your replacement. Another boy is chosen, maybe from the same region, maybe chosen for a resemblance. He is introduced to the Sultan, brought to your former quarters, clothed in your silks. He is taught the games you once played, the songs you once sang. You, still alive below, are made to watch through peepholes or one-way screens as he laughs, as he is stroked, as he is given what used to be yours. He, in turn, is sometimes brought to view you, not as a warning he can act upon, but as a living lesson in what happens when favor fades. Your pain becomes part of his curriculum. Your destruction becomes his incentive to behave. Eventually, the handlers decide whether you're ready to be put to work. In the logic of the court, a broken concubine can be more valuable than a corpse. You are now a tool, damaged, yes, but sharpened in particular ways. Your ruined innocence and existence in the shadow of what you once were become weapons in the Sultan's larger strategies of rule. Before deploying you, they test how thoroughly your humanity has been rewritten. The first exam is betrayal. You are given access to sensitive gossip, secrets entrusted to you by other concubines, bits of information about guards, minor officials, or even members of the royal family. You're then ordered to repeat those secrets to your handlers, knowing that doing so will lead to punishment for those who once confided in you. The second test is more chilling. A novice is brought in, a boy fresh from capture or purchase, still clutching some shred of hope. Your assignment is to prepare him, to explain that resistance is pointless, to gently nudge him towards surrender, to help the professionals by softening his mind. Many break there. Seeing a mirror of their old selves stirs remnants of conscience. They warn the newcomer instead, or hesitate, or cry. Such failures are met with more sessions in the deeper rooms, more refined techniques, more dismantling. Those who learn to carry out these tasks without flinching become prized assets. Now your work shifts beyond the palace. You might be sent in secret to the home of a provincial governor who has been too slow to obey orders, or to a general whose loyalty has become questionable, or to a wealthy merchant whose influence the Sultan wishes to harness. You arrive late at night, elegantly dressed, silent, eyes empty. Your very presence is a message. Look what happens to those who were once close to him. Imagine what he can do to you. But intimidation is only one side of your assignment. You have been trained to listen while seeming not to decipher letters while pretending illiteracy, to memorize layouts of rooms, lists of names, drunk confessions. In the haze after sex, men talk freely. They boast about troop movements, grumble about alliances, outline private schemes. They feel safe in front of someone they regard as broken and inconsequential. Your fractured mind has been conditioned into a perfect recording device. You observe, store, and later recount everything in exacting detail. Decades later, historians leafing through Ottoman archives have found references to such operations. Files describe, in chillingly neutral language, methods for handling different types of boys, those who respond best to verbal humiliation, those who break under isolation, those who require pain, those who yield under hope. Scholars who have read the more explicit sections in full often decline to quote them. They describe them, obliquely, as among the most disturbing documents in early modern statecraft. Case notes praise particular subjects whose intelligence or fearsome appearance contributed to political victories. In some instances, a few whispered sentences overheard by a remade concubine led to battles won, rival claimants eliminated, rebellions snuffed out before they sparked. History shifted on information gathered by boys whose own histories had been almost entirely erased. The ultimate demonstration of the system's success came in what the court called the reunion. After months or years of service in this new role, you are summoned once more into the Sultan's presence. Not in private, this is saint, aged before a full assembly. Ministers, generals, administrators, and crucially the current slate of favorites are all present. You are led in, displaying the marks and scars of your journey. To those who know how to read them, your skin tells a complex story, who hurt you, how you responded, what you've done since. This is not a sentimental meeting, it is a display. A human trophy testifying to the ruler's ability to unmake and remake souls. The favorite boys clustered near the throne watch you with wide eyes. Some recognize you. Others have only heard whispers. Now they see the trajectory their own lives might take. Whatever affection they currently enjoy stands revealed as conditional and precarious. Then comes the final twist. The Sultan offers you a choice. You may, he says, leave this life, return to something closer to what you were, a quieter existence, fewer demands, fewer horrors. Or you may continue in your new function, serving him in the ways that only someone like you can. On the surface, this sounds like mercy. It is nothing of the sort. It is the last diagnostic. By now, after everything you've endured, the idea of true freedom has become alien and terrifying. Who would you be outside this role? Where could you go? What would you do with a self that has been dismantled and rebuilt according to someone else's blueprint? Again and again, records and eyewitnesses hint at the same outcome. Most kneel, most beg, not to be released but to be allowed to go on serving. This is the endpoint the remakers have always been at. Not just external obedience, but internal alignment. Not fear alone, but genuine, if twisted, desire to belong to the Hantus. Hat holds the chain. Call it addiction, call it the collapse of self. Whatever name you use, the result is the same. Even after everything, some part of you still longs for the flicker of approval in the Sultan's eyes. You measure your worth, not by what you might have been, but by how useful you are now as a broken instrument. If this journey into one of history's darker engineered cruelties has left you wanting to understand more of what power has done to the powerless, click the video that's appearing on your screen now. There's another buried chapter waiting, one that most textbooks never touch. And if you found this exploration with curious historians grimly compelling, make sure you're subscribed so we can keep prying up the stones together. The boys whose voices were silenced deserve, at the very least, to have their stories told.